Welcome to the Hope Family Support Network's presentation on Least Restrictive Environment. What is the LRE, or Least Restrictive Environment? According to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or as it's commonly referred to, the IDEA, to the maximum extent appropriate, children with disabilities, including children in public or private institutions or other care facilities, are educated with children who are not disabled. In other words, students with disabilities should not be segregated unless they can't be appropriately educated in any other way. Think, what supports can be put in place that will allow my child to learn with every other kid? The LRE, part of the IEP, the Individualized Education Program, should detail the amount of time spent with non-disabled peers. It includes all classes, recess, field trips, and after-school activities. The IEP must detail how much time your child will spend with peers without disabilities and what types of supports are needed to make it work. It should include all classes, homeroom, recess, field trips, and after-school activities the school may offer. When deciding the least restrictive environment for a student, the IEP team should begin with the assumption that the child will be in regular education with all the appropriate supports and services. The team should consider and provide supplementary aids and services, allowing the child to be successful. Supplementary services should be provided in conjunction with regular class placement. The placement decision is determined by the IEP team, including the parents. Parents are a member of any team that makes decisions about placement. It should be determined annually, at least once per year. It should be based on the student's IEP, should be made in conformity with least restrictive environment provisions, should be as close to home as possible, and made with consideration of harmful effects to the child. Let's talk a little bit about non-academic settings. In providing or arranging for the provision of non-academic and extracurricular services and activities, including meals, recess periods, and after-school activities, each public agency must ensure that each child with a disability participates with non-disabled children in the extracurricular services and activities to the maximum extent appropriate to the needs of that child. The public agency must ensure that each child with a disability has the supplementary aids and services determined by the child's IEP team to be appropriate and necessary for the child to participate in non-academic settings. Now, let's talk about a few things to remember about placement decisions. These decisions are made by a group of persons, including the parents and other persons knowledgeable about the child, the meaning of evaluation data, and the placement options, and are made in conformity with the least restrictive environment provisions. The child's placement is determined at least annually, is based on the child's IEP, and is close to home as possible. Unless the IEP of a child with a disability requires some other arrangement, the child is educated in the school that he or she would attend if not disabled. In selecting the least restrictive environment, consideration is given to any potential harmful effect on the child or on the quality of services that he or she needs, and a child with a disability is not removed from education in age-appropriate, regular classrooms solely because of the needed modifications in the general education curriculum. In other words, we can't place the kid in a more restrictive environment just because it's more work or it's easier or we can't provide the services that they need in order to be in general education. Now, for some tips for families. If you don't understand, ask the school to explain it to you and put it in writing to you. Remember, you are members of any team who make decisions about the placement of your child. And if you need help, you can call the Hope Family Support Network at 828 256 5202 or email us at vickydieter@fsnhope.org. In closing, the contents of this presentation were developed under a grant from the U.S. Department of Education. However, those contents do not necessarily represent the policy of the U.S. Department of Education, and you should not assume endorsement by the federal government. Thank you.